It was all in black, but with a very food-encrusted T-shirt and gloves that were ripped. Hello YouTube, welcome back to day 11. If you've not been here before, I'm Ian, this is Jane.
Hi.
And we've been reviewing and vlogging about the Edinburgh Festival Fringe 2021. We've seen two shows today and we're going to talk about the first one, which was Jazz at Lunchtime. Now this show was at 12:30 and it was performed by a duo, Ian Miller and Dominic Spencer. And it was performed in a hotel lounge, would you say?
Lounge bar, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it did say it was a music bar, but actually it's not what I would have called a music bar. It was quite, you know. And do you want to read a little bit about them and then we'll get on to...
Yeah, because these were on the table, which is rather nice. Ian and Dominic have been performing together for many years, playing melodic improvisations on jazz standards and original compositions. Their style of jazz concentrates on developing melodic ideas within the framework of the melody of a tune, whilst maintaining the concept and groove behind it. The result is a very accessible melodic style which allows them to explore, improvise and develop ideas without losing the essence of each piece of music, and to interact together in as creative a way as possible.
And it was very nice. It was cocktail jazz, I would have described it as.
Yeah.
There was a bit of an issue with the venue to some extent. I mean, it was quite long and thin, and it was pretty full, if not sold out. And I didn't realise that Ian was the saxophone player, was also the ticket guy. So he was checking everybody's tickets off, and because of that, they started like 5 minutes late. I think he was making sure everybody was in, which was fine. I didn't realise
and he was too good at his job, because he would say, you know, the bar's there to order a drink, and if you'd like to order food, then you just there was a little
QR code
on the tables, and you get your menu from that. Anyway, all I'm saying is he was very good.
He was very good,
and he was dressed all in black. So he matched the rest of the staff. So it was very. So Ian suddenly said, "Oh, I think that guy's the saxophone player," and he was.
And before we get on to the actual review of the music, I think we should talk about the food, because we sat down and I scanned the QR code, because you were looking for a sandwich and we were thinking of eating there. Go on.
No, I'm just saying this is only relevant to the review of the music in the sense that it was quite, somebody was coming out and shouting, table four.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
though he didn't do that, did he, during...
No, but he was still wandering around trying to find tables.
And it was...
So, where the food was made was actually quite close to actually where we were sat, because it was like a little staff area about halfway down the room. Which I did think was going to be distracting while the actual performance was on, but it wasn't, because he did less and less of it, as you know. But as you pointed out, you were interested in buying some food, but the way that this guy was, he was all in black, but with a very food-encrusted T-shirt and gloves that were ripped, and he just put you off.
He did.
You know, so we didn't order any food. A lady at the table, Nature, has left her sandwich that she'd ordered, so we don't know what the food was like. We're not, but it wasn't a good advert to have lunch there while you're watching the jazz.
It maybe worked. A couple of younger women then seemed to take over the delivery of the food, and that seemed less obtrusive. I wasn't aware of them actually looking for numbers, whereas the other gentleman, I'm afraid, had, and it was difficult because you were just conscious that he was trying to work out what the table numbers were.
It wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good sell of the food, really.
No.
So we consequently didn't eat there.
No.
Anyway, let's do the review of the actual gig. So we had piano and saxophone. Ian switched between tenor sax and alto sax, and like we say, it was quite a night. It was 1 hour exactly with a one encore. And it was quite gentle, which is what I expected it to be. It was well performed. I thought my only thought was, because it was a mix of standards. Now I'm no jazz expert, so it's a mix of standards and original compositions by Ian, the sax player. And I think that Dominic, the piano player, got short shift there really to some extent, because he was doing all the talking as well. Those compositions, yes, the idea might have started with Ian, but the embellishments, the chord structures, all of that, I'm sure came from Dominic. So maybe they shouldn't have been sold as just Ian's songs.
I would have much. I can't say.
No, I know.
I don't.
That's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think because he talked about what they'd done over lockdown, where Ian had filmed bits of himself playing the saxophone, sent them to Dominic, and then he'd worked on them. So that is a collaboration to me. So there's from a copyright point of view and royalty, this should be shared. Anyway, that was just a thought that I was while I was watching the jazz.
I mean, every song was greeted quite warmly, and it was a very warm reception at the end, and everybody was quite, their attention was focused on the music, and it was very, very pleasant.
I mean, you made a comment about some of the because Dominic did all of the speaking, and he told light little stories that they had a van that they got touring in and stuff like that, which was sort of entertaining to a point. It would have been nice to hear something from Ian.
Yeah, we didn't.
They share that role, he introduced a different song each, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's the deal, because Ian obviously did speak, because
he spoke to us.
He was front of house, except that at that point, like I've said before, we didn't know he was the sax player. So he had done a lot of interaction with the audience, and maybe that's just the deal.
Yeah, I just think from a performance point of view, it would have been better for them to.
Yeah.
It would have been better for them to interact on stage a little bit, because they clearly were interacting, because they're jazz musicians, and Ian very clearly, counts in Dominic for most of the songs. So he is band leader. If there was a bigger group, he would be band leader, I think.
Right, okay.
So, on that basis. But I just thought it would have been nicer to have a little bit of an interaction together on stage, rather than leave poor old Dominic with having to try and find things to say.
Yeah, I suppose because there are only two of them, you would have expected Ian to say maybe one or two things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a small gripe, really.
Yeah. But it was, it was very pleasant.
So if that's the sort of thing that you fancy for an hour, and you can let us know what you think of the food if you try the food, it might be slightly different. They're on every day at 12:30 in the. It doesn't actually say what it is. It's at the Novotel, the Tap.
It is the Novotel.
And there's a bar that you can buy drinks, and like I say, you can scan to get your food if you wanted food. And the price of the sandwiches wasn't too.
No, it was fine. I mean, the cost of the food was very reasonable for a lunch, so you could quite easily have had your lunch there.
Just that we were put off. It's on every day until the 30th, so right the way through this month. Now, tomorrow, which is the 14th, 15th and the 19th, on the Fringe website, it's sold out. But it does actually say you may be able to get tickets via the venue. And in fact, I'll copy that bit. And there is more information on their website, which I will also copy in. But it was quite a nice thing to do, something different.
It was nice,
know.
and I did like the fact that you had a bit of info, some photographs, all their contacts are on there. They also left contact details and a pen.
To join their mailing group, wasn't it?
To join a mailing list. And like I said, every table had a pen on it, which was impressive. That was a nice touch.
So, how many stars?
Oh, I think I'll go for a 3.
I would go for 3 as well. It's a good 3. Yeah, no, that's fine. So, next video will be straight after this one. So we'll look exactly the same, although I may change my top. The next video will be Trevor Lock. I don't quite know what he's calling it. The other show, I think it is, or something like that. Anyway, it's Trevor Lock at Bannerman's, which is part of the free Fringe, although it's not free because you should have expected to pay, but we'll come on to that. That'll be in the next video. So we'll see you then. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Called Jazz at Lunchtime. Now this was by a duet, Ian Miller and Dominic Spencer, who were...
I think technically it's a duo. A duet
right,
is actually
you're
something
right.
that's...
Shall I start that again?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, do you mind?
You should have said earlier.
Well, I didn't, but then I realised then it sounded weird.
I thought duet was wrong. Right. Take 2.